Good afternoon, traders. Joseph here from Eightcap. Welcome to this week's market wrap. So, sorry about the 3-week break, but I was away on holiday, so it's been an interesting week to come back to, with Monday and Tuesday being a bit flat. But things sure did get going on Wednesday after we saw US CPI data come in well below expected, and the core data actually dropped as well. So if you didn't know, the core data had been quite stubborn. It wasn't really following the other two down. So, but now we have seen a drop in that figure as well. And last night the PPI came in lower again. So we can see the effect on the US dollar after the previous week's kick off with the employment data, and we can just see it's been one-way traffic down. We've broken key support here at 189, and we're seeing the market continue to move lower. So there's a bit of a trend line now moving down, and if we look at the weekly chart on the dollar, we can see how dramatic this week has been, and this series of lower highs and the fall. So it's really anyone's guess where this goes down to. We are starting to get nearer to that 50% point. That can be a pretty of a solid number. So we'll see what happens if it does continue to decline. This area here, maybe if we get down there, could put up a bit of fight back. There's also a bit of support here at 97.68. So we'll just see what happens as things continue to progress. Now, on the flip side of the dollar moving lower, and with the possibility of peak rates and maybe a continued pause in interest rates in the US, that has had the opposite ramifications for risk markets. So we've seen some pretty good rallies this week. So we can see the US 30 here having a nice move up. The issue for the US 30 at the moment is this resistance area, really from 34,600 down to this area here at 34,475. Buyers really need to break that point to get this trend going. The Nasdaq and the S&P, we'll just concentrate on the Nasdaq, has been I've spoken about it a touch. It's been a much nicer trend out of the three. It has had very little impact from the banking crisis. It's been probably one of the best trends of the year so far. The dollar yen obviously was a real cracker earlier on until recently, but yeah, the Nasdaq just continues. And we did a report on the Nasdaq the other day just talking about this continuation pattern here, and so far so good. We've seen a very nice move out of that pattern, with CPI helping the cause and PPI. So it's a beautiful trend that this continues to keep going at this stage. So it's definitely worth one keeping an eye on. Now, some of the other data that we've had come out. So I have to look at the pound, because yes, we have seen some nice moves from risk currencies. So to quickly just touch on the Aussie's back to this previous high that was set back in, I can't really see that at the moment, several weeks ago, and it's sitting quite nicely in that 68 handle once again, and after what looked like the possibility of a bit of consolidation, but after that CPI, things have discontinued to go from strength to strength as it fights back against the dollar. If we do see a break at this level, that would be a nice sign, and then we'll have more key resistance to fight up at 69.78. My eyes are getting worse as I get older. Now, the pound, as we just discussed, so with the dollar also declining, supporting on one side, we had better than expected GDP data out of the UK, so it came in at minus 0.1% as opposed to the minus 0.3% that was expected. This has just continued to fuel it, and after we saw a break of this high with the the CPI, etc., and the dollar, we've just seen one-way traffic this week for the pound. It's been a very solid week. Now, it's just quite amazing when we think back to this area back in September last year, how low we did see a drop after the pension fund debacle that really came in, and we can just see now what it's done since it hit that low, and we can see that rally here, and you can sort of see 26% added, which is extremely a good result for a currency pair, and it's been a real nice rally for the pound. So with inflation continuing to stay where it is, the economy looking, growth looking a little bit better than it is, and with the dollar coming off quite hard, we'd be hoping to see a bit more buyer action out of the pound. Things are fundamentally supporting it price-wise. It looks great. So if we did have a pullback, we'd look to see then if we could get a higher low and then another high and continue on. So all the other risk markets did well. Gold, for instance, had a very nice breakout, so it's breaking this downtrend here. Silver was also has been very strong. There was reports yesterday that industry-wise, there's a bit of a shortage on silver, and there's issues with some deliveries, with not having enough for delivery. So obviously that looks like it's being reflected in the price. When you compare the two to gold, there's a lot more demand here and prices continue to go up. So it's had a beautiful 2-day rally on the back of the dollar, and it's definitely leading between gold and silver. But then if we look at platinum here, platinum's also had a very solid week, and we can see those those 2 sessions, the 3 real sessions, strong sessions so far this week, and it looks like it's breaking that trend as well. So gold is lagging a touch, but between the 3, we are seeing some very solid moves on platinum and silver. So gold, while it is one of the most popular markets to trade, definitely also keep an eye on the other 2, because there can be some really good opportunities. Platinum as well can be a real mover. Silver, I found, can be a bit of a tricky market to trade. It can, do things like this, which is no fun really for anybody. But it's definitely, one to watch. And like everything, there are opportunities presented from time to time. And so at times like we're seeing now, you'll see gold lagging, and the other 2 sort of leading the way, with silver basically leading a little bit further at this stage. So enough on precious metals for now. Oil this week has also had a fantastic week. It's been a very strong week for some commodities and for risk markets especially. So we can see oil here, it's cleared this point here. I was watching for this. That's at 74 points. So I think the next real test will be up at 78, and then back to this key resistance that we saw after our first OPEC surprise cut announcement. So that will be around the 83 area. But first things first, we want to see if this can continue. We'd be looking for maybe a pullback sooner rather than later, another higher low, a beat, and then we'll be looking to see if we can test 78, and then as mentioned before, up to the 80s. So now, before we get on to some things coming out next week, we're going to just have to have a quick look at crypto. But before we do that, things haven't been as fluent for the yen so far this week. The yen's been a little bit stronger. We have seen some good moves from risk markets to the yen, but it has been trying to fight back a touch. We can see the dollar here has had a pretty rough run. After some of the trends we've seen on this pair, we're seeing a pretty fair decline at this stage. And the pound and other markets, or this update, have been a bit mixed after a few declines. So crypto wise, we saw a very strong night last night, and this all comes down to Ripple. So I'll try not to keep this video too long, but basically yesterday Ripple had a ruling in its favor from one of the judges, and in the case basically saying that they did not it's not treated as security, and they didn't break any laws when they were selling the Ripple token, the XRP token to the public through public exchanges. This set off a massive explosion in buying, and we can just see here how big that move was. And we just have a measure there. To the high yesterday is around 98%. So even in crypto terms, that's a very, very big move for a single session. It got all the way back up to 92 overnight. We did see a bit of a sharp pullback, which is sort of to be expected as people sort of work out their positioning at that particular time. Now we do see a bit of resistance here, and it has that pullback did line up with that resistance. That's at 90 cent area, and we'll continue to see how this breakout goes. Had a very nice breakout out of this range area here, so any type of move back around the 50% point would be okay, but then we'd really like to see see a new higher low and a new move back up to test that high. If we do see a move back down to these kind of areas here, I would say that would be a bit of a worry, and I'd say that just keep, if you are trading Ripple and you're involved with XRP, just keep watching it, and just keep your ears to current updates and new updates that are coming out around the court case. But definitely it looks to have found some real drive, and things could be turning in the court case, and it also has a bit of a significant impact across the broader crypto market. And are they really going to be viewed as securities or not? So there's a few things opened up from yesterday's decision by that judge in the US. Now we'll just go over some of the key things coming out next week, and then we'll try and wrap up today's video. We have GDP coming out of China on Monday, industrial production numbers as well. Into Tuesday we have the monetary policy meeting minutes, Canadian CPI that has the trimmed and the median and the common, US retail sales coming out on Tuesday, and moving into Wednesday, CPI out of New Zealand, CPI out of the UK. They're looking, so that will be an interesting figure to watch, that one. Employment data coming out of Australia on Thursday, unemployment claims on Thursday from the US, and nothing really on Friday. And just to cap off this week, we have prelim UOM consumer settlement coming out from the US at 12 a.m. Later today. So there's a couple good ones coming out next week to keep an eye on. Obviously retail sales. Now, just going back to the RBA with the meeting minutes, Governor Lowe has been not stood down, but he hasn't been offered another term, so he's been replaced by Michelle Bullock, I read earlier. So she's the first female governor of the RBA, and she will be taking over. So there's a bit of a news Reserve Bank wise locally. So that's it for today's update and video. So thank you very much for your time today. I wish you all the best with your trading, and I hope you enjoyed what's been a very volatile and enjoyable week in the markets. So thanks again, all the best for your trading, and bye for now.